Hey everybody, this is Jeff with Garden Hydroponics. Just wanted to let you know we're day 45 of my project, and so it's day one of the project, and things have grown quite a bit. Actually had a harvest this week of romaine lettuce, and uh, did an excellent job of feeding us this week. I think I took a nice salad to lunch 4 days, and we had it at dinner on Mother's Day. So it was pretty great. Pretty great first little crop from a hydroponic garden using Miracle Grow and water. Also, for the tomatoes, we've been adding Epsom salts, and that's what I wanted to talk about today is the tomatoes. Uh, had some struggles, and we'll kind of go through that. I think one or two of the plants are struggling based on the particular pot that they're in. I believe they might be getting too much water. Not really any way to correct it at this point, but definitely they're still growing, and but they are showing signs of getting too much water, and that's probably not going to be too good for them down the line. But then I have another set, my original set of cherry tomato plants that have just exploded and are really thriving in the environment. And I think that's because of the pot that they're in. They get a little bit less water. It has a bell siphon in it, so whenever it gets too full, it will empty the pot, which gives a little bit of a breather to the root system. And like I said, they're really doing well. They're shooting up, so I wanted to kind of cover those, and then I wanted to also talk about some of the products, um, that I'm using with them, and but the Epsom salt has been amazing. You basically, when you add the Epsom salt to the solution or to the water, it does. You can see the tomato plants perk up, um, and they really grow um, during the few days after Epsom salts have been added. So you can really almost measure their growth. It's pretty fantastic. And then the let's see if I can grab it real quick. Just the standard Velcro tape that I'm using to help support them. Uh, they're growing so fast that they're really starting to even reach the top of the different poles that I have, the support poles. So kind of a brisk morning this morning. We've had quite a bit of rain. It's actually working on my sinuses and uh, trying to not sneeze right now. But anyway, let's take a look at the garden. The romaine lettuce. I took a good portion of the leaves. Did not take all of them, um, and in hopes of a second harvest. And it looks like I might get a second and maybe even a third from the six plants that I had. But I'll take a look at them, and then the kale has matured as well. So more salads coming up. Thanks. So on day 45, the garden has quite a bit of growth in it. And what I was going to show you today is talk about our tomato plants. And the two cherry tomato plant juveniles that I planted here in the front have skyrocketed. Um, really reaching for the sky. And they are, if you can see in here, producing. So we've got the first signs of cherry tomatoes, and you can see another one hiding back here, and there's even more. If we look closely, they're uh, starting to really explode off the plant. So really doing well. I believe when I first planted them, probably 30 days ago, they were about right here. And they have definitely grown probably 2 feet above that point. So I'm going to continue to add the Velcro tape that I just showed you to help support it as it keeps reaching skyward. And then wanted to I had some strong winds, got part of a tree that actually fell here. I wanted to show you some of the other tomato plants and show you what I'm talking about as far as struggling. So in these second pots, the water tends to get a little high, and I'm seeing a lot of browning in the leaves, which definitely indicates that there is an issue with the water and the root system. So they are sprouting flowers, these small Roma tomato plants, but they definitely are not thriving in the environment as it stands. So we will have to see how things happen there. I'm also, once I moved the lettuce plants last week, I'm also running into quite a bit of problems with the new plants. I actually lost one. There were 3 in here, and the small one I actually lost. So not very good for head lettuce right now. Even though the ones on top, the 3 that were remaining up here, seem to be doing rather well. So we'll keep an eye on those. And the kale, what can I say? The kale is ready for harvest. It's reaching over, but we're going to have some kale here real soon. As far as seedlings, been struggling a lot with the seedlings. Planting directly in here, it was kind of a goal of mine to try and plant directly, and I'm still working that out, but I have not found a situation where the seedlings get everything that they need, and the weather is kind of brutal on them sometimes. So here are the romaine plants after the first harvest. You can see where I took the leaves before, but they have sprung back. The close inner leaves are starting to spread out, and they're making room for additional leaves that are coming in. So we're going to get another harvest out of these. Now I'm looking at the one in the back, and it seems to be leaning over a little bit, but it still looks like it's still pretty strong. So I'm going to probably just move it away from the pot just a little bit. It's just reaching for some space. And then once again, we have a husky tomato plant here that seems to be struggling a little bit. Husky cherry red tomatoes, and then another Roma plant that seems to be struggling a little bit. Now, if I move down, I have 2 more huskies down here, and if you can tell, they are doing much better. Not only that, I'm starting to see blooms off of these 2 small juveniles that moved in. So they've grown probably about 5 to 6 inches each, and are doing much better than the husky that's up here in this pot. So I'm thinking that the lower pots, originally I was thinking that these lower pots would be better for tomatoes, and that's exactly what I'm finding. And I'm finding that the romaine lettuce loves the amount of water that's in those middle pots. So just for my own future garden knowledge, specifically this garden, I think I know where the romaine is going to go, and I think I know where the tomatoes are going to go. So we learn as we move. Bell peppers are doing really, really well. We've got a actual flowered bell pepper, and we've got multiple starts, multiple blooms that are getting ready to come out. So it seems to be doing well on these lower sections as well, growing pretty rapidly now. I think it actually had just a lot of shock when it moved in, and the weather hasn't been very accommodating. I planted it fairly early, and even like this morning where it's actually pretty chilly still, they're just not having it. But when that heat, and when it got up to about 80 there for about a week, they were loving life. So I think as the summer moves on, I think the peppers will probably start to outpace some of the others. But right now they're still struggling with these spring temperatures. So speaking of the seedlings, let me show you. I've got you're actually getting to see a little bit of glimpse of my secret stash back here. So I had planted these pods probably about 7 days ago. Just not seeing any kind of activity. And what's interesting is I took the remaining seeds that I had. These are all romaine, by the way. I was trying to get some more romaine going. It's a red romaine brand. But just nothing out of the seed pods. But I took the remaining seeds and I just threw them in a small pot in the back. And look what I got there. So with the rain that we had and just kind of the sunshine, at least looks like we've got some romaine brewing. So my little terrarium here, or little condensation vessel, is just too wet and is not proven to with all the rain that we've had. I thought that having the lid on it would actually be helpful, just to keep the water down, but it seems to have just not been a very positive environment for them. And I almost guarantee if I let it go, that we will see some sprouts, and we will see some seedlings jump out of this group, but the conditions are just going to have to get right for them. So we're gonna leave them and see how they do. So that is kind of the state of things today. 45 days in. We got lots of romaine brewing for another harvest coming up. We've got kale ready to go. And our cherry tomatoes are just really, really moving ahead. And specifically the ones out front, we've even got tomatoes on the vine. Right there. Up, move over this side, and there's another. So if you are following along, go ahead and subscribe below. Feel free to email me with questions. Looks like the system's starting to wake up again. You can see the water starting, and grow your own. Do it yourself. It's healthier. It's better for you. Have a great weekend.